So I have been doing TBR videos, like a TBR jar picks my monthly TBR for 4 or 5 months now. I've done 4 set TBRs and I have yet to complete one. It's not that big of a deal, like I don't need to. I'm not necessarily setting out to complete the whole TBR each month. Obviously I'd like to, but I'd like to get at least half, but obviously I would like to get more done. But that being said, I have fallen drastically behind for a couple months in a row. I think I've only read like 1 or 2 out of the set TBR in the past couple months, but this month is gonna be different. I have hope that I will be able to read my whole TBR this month. It is the 26th of July and I have 6 more days to complete my TBR, and I have read 3 out of the 8 books on my TBR. I can't show you what's left of my stack because it's packed away in boxes because I just moved, like literally just moved into a new apartment, and I have yet to unpack those yet because I still need to set up a bookshelf, which will be right here. That video though should already be out by the time this video comes out. However, in my current time, that has not happened yet. So I can't show you the stack. I have 2 books that I pulled aside to start reading for this month. Both happen to be young adult, and I don't know if I'm necessarily in the mood for either of these. So that's wonderful. This is the 4th Michael Vey book, and this is the 2nd Caraval book. Sci-fi, fantasy. I think I'm gonna go with Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is the 2nd book in the Caraval series. This series is about 2 sisters who attend a magical festival called Caraval. Basically, during Caraval, there's real magic and you have to solve some sort of riddles or a hunt. Legend is the guy who hosts it. You have to solve his riddles in order to win the grand prize, which is basically, I think, 1 wish of your choosing, whatever you wish for. In the first book, they go to Caraval together. However, Donatella disappears and Scarlett has to find her. That was a really great book. I have read it twice now and I really enjoyed it. I think I read it in my starting new series video. The second time around, I enjoyed it, I think, even a little bit more because there is so much going on in this magical world and I already have a hard time processing fantasy books. So for me, reading it the second time was really helpful. So I'm excited to get into this book. I have read this one already as well, so this is technically a reread, but it's been so long, I have no idea what this one's about. I did not read the 3rd book in the trilogy, which is why I need to reread the series to begin with, making progress towards my goal of getting this series read this year. And I'm gonna start with Legendary. Okay, so it's been so many days since I even talked to camera. It's now the 30th, which means I have 2 days, well, less than 2 days to finish the rest of my TBR. I did finish Legendary. I really like that series so far. I really like the magic and stuff. I just think it can get really confusing sometimes. The magic can be really confusing sometimes, especially with Caraval. The whole premise behind it is you can't get too wrapped up in the game because it is all a game, so you don't know what's real and what's fake. The narrator doesn't know and the reader doesn't know, and so for me that's really confusing, especially by the end of the 2nd book. I'm I just want to know if the end of the 2nd book was real or if that was part of the Caraval game. I desperately want to read the 3rd book right now, but I have a goal and I can't read it yet. But hopefully I'm gonna get that on my next TBR for August because I need to know what happens next. That's that. And then I did start Michael Vey, Hunt for Jade Dragon. I'm 52 pages in and I have about 250-ish more to go. And it is 7 o'clock on the 30th, which means I have 29 more hours to finish the rest of the books from my TBR, which I have out now, so I can show you. So these are the last 3 books on my TBR. Plus this. So this kind of accidentally turned into a 24-hour reading challenge because I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish all of these by midnight on August 1st. I mean, this one's pretty small, so I think I could get through this easily. And hopefully, like, the romance is really fast-paced. But we'll see. My update for this is I'm slowly getting into it. There's like not a ton of action happening right now. We are getting background information on the mission they're about to do. So it's just not moving very fast at the moment, but I'm sure it'll pick up. That being said, I'm about to leave to go see the new Deadpool movie. Very excited for that. I guess I thought I had seen the second one, but apparently I haven't because I don't remember anything from the second one. So hopefully I'm not too lost and confused throughout the third movie. We'll see. But I'm sure I'm gonna enjoy it regardless because it's Ryan Reynolds. And then I'll come back and read and read and read and read and hopefully get all of these done. But that's my update for now. I just wanted to let you know. Alright, I'm really struggling with getting this camera level, so if it's not, bear with me. But I stayed up way too late finishing Michael Bay Hunt for Jade Dragon. Why every book, can they not just have a happy ending? Why does he immediately have to be like, but something bad happened and now you guys have to go solve it in the last page? Literally, I think it was last paragraph. Why can't we just have one book where it ends and I don't have to worry about their well-being until I pick up the next book? You know what I mean? That being said, it took almost halfway through the book for them to even go to Taiwan to find Jade Dragon. So it felt a little slow, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because it took so long for them to get there. But as soon as I got to Taiwan, it was so fast-paced and I actually really enjoyed that. Like, I could not put it down for the last 150 pages because I was wrapped up in all the action that was happening. The last bit of it, when they were actually in Taiwan, saved it for me because like the first half I was just kind of bored a little bit. That's kind of where I landed on this book. And then I decided to pick up A River Runs Through It next, and I'm only 50 pages in and I started this I think almost 3 hours ago. It's hard because the story is so much about like fly fishing is very important to the characters in this book, and so much of the book is like describing in intense detail about either the Montana nature or fly fishing and stuff like that like I get kind of lost in it. I don't know anything about fishing, so it's not really holding my attention, but like I kind of knew what to expect going into this because I have seen the movie, but I feel like the movie also focuses more on like the relationship between the two brothers. And I haven't even told you what this book is about. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this book is about two brothers. The older brother is the narrator and they both live in a rural area, well, kind of rural, in Montana, and the younger brother is kind of a troublemaker. He's always been a little bit more independent, very confident, and he is getting into a lot of trouble, and the older brother is kind of caught in the struggle of what to do to help his brother. That's kind of what this is about. And I really liked the movie, and I feel like the movie focused more on the brotherly bond, and that's what drew me in, as opposed to the fly fishing, because now I don't, like, it's not that I don't care, it's just that I get too lost in all the different terms. But the descriptions of the Montana nature are really beautiful. If I could picture in my head, that would be even better. I'm sure I'd like this book more. I don't want to put this down, but like I'm just losing steam and I really want to read, and obviously I want to get to these two books before midnight, so I don't know what to do. I think I'm gonna try reading this a little bit more, and if I'm still like just getting through it too slow, I might pick up The Love Hypothesis. But that's my update. I figured I should give you an update. I think it's, what time is it? It's 5:10. I have 6 hours and 50 minutes to read these 3 books, which I don't think I'm gonna do, which is fine. I won't be that upset about it. If I at least get like 2 more of these books read, that beats my previous record of 6 out of 8 books from my TBR, and I would be happy with that. So that's my update, that's my plan. You'll figure out what I do in just a few seconds. I have a little bit longer until I can figure out what to do because I take forever to decide on things. Alright, so I ended up finishing A River Runs Through It last night before midnight. I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier when I picked up this book, but it literally says A River Runs Through It and other stories. So A River Runs Through It was like half of this book, and then the rest were 2 other stories. The other 2 stories were just about, like, the first one was the narrator was a lumberjack and he was sawing down trees. And then the second one was him, the narrator, being part of the United States Forest Service. That's about it, really. The other 2 stories were so... I don't know what the plot was. I don't know what the author was trying to like tell a story about. It was really weird, especially the very last story. There's multiple points where he could have ended the story and I would have been happy with it, but it just kept going and kept going and kept going. And I was like, what am I reading? You know? So definitely the best story by far is A River Runs Through It, which I know when I last talked to you, when I last gave you an update, I was saying that I was like kind of struggling because it wasn't focusing as much on the brother part and it was focusing more on like the nature and fly fishing. That kind of held up throughout the rest of the story, but it did shift a bit more towards like that brother bond. I definitely had a lot of quotes that I highlighted near the end. Like this is on the very last page of that story, and it says, "It is those we live with and love and should know who elude us." If you know this story or if you've seen the movie, you would know kind of exactly how that fits into the context, but I think that was just like a really beautiful quote. And there were like so many beautiful quotes in this book, in the first story, and a lot of beautiful descriptions, especially of like the Montana nature. Just for me, it was like hard to get through because it felt like too much description and not enough story, not enough plot, especially in the last 2 stories. I don't know what I read after I finished A River Runs Through It. The other 2 stories were like, it felt like a fever dream. That was my experience reading A River Runs Through It. I would definitely recommend watching the movie. The story and the movie are pretty much exactly the same because it is a short story. They were able to fit a lot into the movie. Because you're reading about Montana nature, it's better if you watch the movie because then you can actually see it. So that's my suggestion if you are curious about that story. That being said, I finished at like 11:35 and I knew I didn't have enough time to start and finish another book. So I didn't. I promptly got ready for bed and cuddled up and watched YouTube for the rest of the night. So I did not hit my goal of reading 7 out of the 8 books on my TBR, but I did read 6 out of the 8 books, and honestly, I'm pretty proud of that. These were all the books on my TBR. The only 2 I did not get to were To Fill a Yale House and Love Hypothesis. These are the books, plus 2 books on my Kindle that I finished for this month's TBR. And the books that I finished in this video, I guess I'll give you my ratings for. Started with Legendary. I think I'm giving this one like a 4 stars. I really do enjoy being in this world. I wish I just wasn't so confused about whether everything was like part of the Caraval game or reality. And then for Michael Vey Hunt for Jade Dragon, I think I'm leaning towards like a 3.5 stars. I think it would have been 4 stars if the first half of the book didn't feel so slow to me. But the last half of the book was really great and really interesting and fast-paced, so I loved that. Finally, for A River Runs Through It, I don't know what to rate this. Like, the actual A River Runs Through It story, pretty solid. I'd say like 3.5, 3. I think I'm just gonna land on a 3 stars for this whole book. The other 2 stories were like ridiculous, but they kept me entertained, I guess. I mean, I read them. I didn't have to DNF. I did skim a little bit of the descriptive parts because after 3 stories, they kind of all sound the same. I think I'm gonna land on 3 stars, but really it's just because A River Runs Through It, I think is such a solid story. So that, I guess, is it for today's video. I now get to go figure out my August TBR, which is super exciting. So if you guys make monthly TBRs, let me know what your success rate is. Like, do you always read all the books on your TBR? Do you struggle with that? I think it's something that, like, I don't want to say I struggle with because I don't mind too much if I don't read all the books off that TBR, but I mean, it would be nice to accomplish 8 out of 8 books. But yeah, let me know if that's like a normal thing amongst the book community. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!